Good morning, everyone. Make sure the choir's in. They're coming. This is Small Group Sunday for those of you who are not regulars here, and that means most of the church is out in the hall. and last year, this was the highest attended Sunday of the year, was Small Group Sunday. That's sort of indicative of the fact that the worshiping group that we see here every Sunday is just a small portion of what the church is out in the greater world. Last year, I think there were 40 small groups, and this year I understand there's 55. So if you can't find a place in any of those 55, then you need a much more diverse place than this is. Anyway, as they gather in, I'll do our board welcome. I'm Don Retzer, and I'm the oldest member of your board of directors. And so if you can't see me very well, I'm old. And I manifest that with very short gray hair and a lot of baggy white face. And I have on sort of the choir uniform. You notice that each one of us has a different choir uniform on this morning. And that shows, again, the diversity of our life together. One of the small groups that I'm in is the board of directors. And that group of 8 or 9 directors met all day yesterday with our ministers, Reverend Sherman and Reverend Anna, to go over the goals that we had set as a board for the church. And one of them was to build a generous and radically inclusive church. And we patted ourselves somewhat on the back and encouraged each other to keep going with that. And we were glad that we had made some accomplishments in that and named some of those things. Another one was to champion justice and stand for anti-racism. And we again congratulated ourselves in some ways and challenged ourselves in some ways. These are part of what is the heart and soul of this church. We also got to the place about securing our future. That's the third one. And we were just grateful that we had a roof over our heads now that doesn't leak. We haven't figured out how to celebrate that yet because I'm not sure we could gather everybody up on top of the church for a celebration, but we'll find a way to do that. Oh, that's right. We'll do a drone and all watch it on TV. That'll be good, right. The last one we had was we want to infuse our work with joy. And what we did yesterday was very, very joyful, and we were happy to celebrate that this is the 17th year that Reverend Logan has been with us. And since we have the singers with us, why don't we sing a little happy anniversary song?
Thank you so much, Pastor Don. Y'all know black people don't blush. But I think you see a little rose in my cheek this morning. I'm the Reverend Sherman Z. Logan, Jr., and I have the privilege of serving this wonderful congregation as your senior minister. I am a tall, brown-skinned black man with a white beard, glasses, and a bald head. I'm wearing a black pinstripe suit, black and white bow tie, white shirt, and a white stole. I use he, his, him pronouns. And I am so delighted to have you with us today, whether you're here with us in person or joining us virtually. Joining me this morning as our worship associate, Maggie Wow. Jamie Kilpatrick, our worship and music director. Providing the music ministry, our UU singers. Our hymn leaders, Barry Ramsey and Joanna Walker. In our tech booth, we have Eric Bowers, Eric Glassman, and Faye Huey, thank you. And Diane Sneed would be our late pastoral care associate, who would be available after service in the conference room next to the desk. Okay. Beloveds, on Tuesday, we join communities around the world in lifting up and celebrating Bisexuality Day. Too often, bisexual truth has been dismissed as confusion, erased by silence, or doubted simply because it crosses boundaries. But today, we proclaim a different truth. Bisexual people are here, present in our seats, our pulpits, and our families and friendship, woven throughout history and alive among us now. We affirm that bisexuality is real, it's faithful, it's whole. Love that spans gender is love in its fullness. And as a welcoming congregation, we commit to seeing what has often been made invisible, to naming what's gone unnamed, and to honoring all those who live beyond either or as beloved members of this community. So let us rejoice on Tuesday in the abundance of love, diversity, and let us celebrate together. Now is the time where we welcome our visitors. And today we have special guests with us. Members of our Pathways to Membership class are with us, so if you feel comfortable, please rise. And for the rest of the visitors, if you are comfortable in introducing yourself, please raise your hand, and Jamie will bring the microphone to you.
I'm Melanie McQuinn. I'm here with my cousin Kathy Harris, visiting from near Bloomington, Indiana.
Welcome.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Ken Creva. I came to this church and was married in this church 35 years ago.
Wow.
But we haven't really come back, and I just retired and looking for a new community, so that's...
Welcome.
I'm Mark Fitzpatrick. I'm father of Tom Fitzpatrick. I'm down from D.C.
Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning. My name is Julie Shallow, and I'm here to Seeking Community.
Welcome.
Good to have you. See you that way. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Martha Wingfield, and I'm here with my husband, Lynn, and we are feel good to be part of your congregation and community. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, my name's Michaela. I moved to Petersburg about a year ago, and I'm just looking for some community and people to see.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Alexa. I'm here with my partner, Justin, and we're just also looking for community.
Good to have you.
Welcome. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jamie, and welcome to First UU. Now I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit to greet our neighbors and welcome our visitors. Our opening words this morning are from Reverend David Breeden. Welcome, friends, newcomers, old-timers, seekers, skeptics, saints of habit, and rebels of the heart. Here we gather not because we think the same, but because we choose to journey together. Belonging is not something given, it is something we build with open hands and open hearts. It is made in the sharing of stories, the holding of silence, the courage to show up as we are. Here we practice a radical hospitality, not a perfection, but a presence. May we make this place a shelter for the soul, a workshop for justice, a sanctuary where love is not merely spoken, but lived deeply, again, in trust and hope in the spirit of belonging.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Maggie. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a light-skinned white woman in my mid-40s with short, dark blonde hair. And today I am wearing a blush pink sweater and a necklace with my name on it. The chalice lighting for today is Belonging is a Promise by Reverend Raleigh Weaver. As we light this chalice, we remember that belonging is not a place, but a promise. A promise to see one another as worthy, to offer space for each soul to be its full self. In the words of William Ellery Channing, the great end of life is not happiness, but to feel worthy of happiness. May this flame remind us that belonging comes out of our feelings of being worthy and seeing the worth in each person, worth in each moment we share, and worth in the community we build together. As the light grows, may we nurture a space where all are seen, heard, and valued, and may we continue the work of building a beloved and inclusive community. Please join us by standing for the hymn 1017, Building a New Way. Our reading today is called A Story Inherited by Jabari S. Jones. Yesterday, a new employee, a white guy, walked into the bakery where I work. "Hi," he said. "I don't think I've met you yet." He told me his name. "I'm Jabari," I replied. "Are you American?" he asked. I hesitated. "Yeah." "Well, it's just that your name is very esoteric." "Well, it's nice to meet you." And he left. I've been called lots of things because of my name, but never esoteric. It's awkward and frustrating to be othered in this way. I keep telling myself that it has nothing to do with me. Maybe he's actually really nice, but socially inept, like the cafe manager says. Or maybe he's on the autism spectrum and can't help but not have a filter. Or maybe it's just another day of being black in America with a black-sounding name. Jabari comes from Swahili and Arabic and means fearless or brave. Also, bringer of comfort or consoler. I am a spiritual warrior. This is my path, so it's important for me to plunge deep into my discomfort, breathing into it. What is this pain, this anger, and what is at the heart of it? An insecurity, a sense that I do not belong here. I attribute this insecurity partly to centuries of white supremacy in established US law, institutions, and society. The 1790 naturalization law, Plessy versus Ferguson, the hell on earth conditions of the slave ships, auctions, plantations, Jim Crow, and so on. All of which my ancestors survived, resulting in my being alive right now. But the message from the dominant culture was clear. You are not American. You are not meant to survive. Not belonging here is a story I have inherited, an American inheritance. I was born and raised here, yet to some, I am and always will be from somewhere else. I am a free person, born into an unfree place. When I feel that unfreedom imposed on me, it gets under my skin, like a violent force of forgetfulness. Our Share the Plate recipient this month is the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. Allow me to introduce their representative, Sheila Harahilly-Hennessy.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me today and for sharing the plate with Virginia Interfaith this month. I'm going to do the description thing. I am Sheila Hurley-Hennessy. I am a woman using she, her pronouns in my mid-30s, relatively short, wearing glasses, and a blue and purple top. The Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy works to bring together people of faith and people of goodwill to work for racial, social, and economic justice in Virginia's policies and practices through education, prayer, and action. That's our mission. And that's a lot. That's a lot to do. So I am so grateful for the partnership of people of faith, so grateful for the understanding and the witness of stories like the one we just heard, to really ground us in the why of this work. You know, one of our slogans is, all faiths believe in justice, because every tradition of faith and morality has a similar call to care for our neighbor, to stand up for those who are marginalized or forgotten in society, and to do better than our ancestors, do better than the systems that have been created around us. As the director of faith organizing at Virginia Interfaith, one of my primary roles is engaging with faith communities, but also engaging with every other community, assisted living or sports clubs or music groups, to talk about why advocacy matters and why it is the natural outgrowth of our care and kindness for those around us. And I will say, I love that this week's theme is that of belonging, because at Virginia Interfaith, we bring together quite a diverse crowd of folks, different races, different religions, different geographic areas, different ages, and together we talk about the issues that matter. That's affordable housing. That's access to health care and health equity. That's reforming the criminal justice system or criminal legal system. Making sure everyone has access to higher education, even people who are incarcerated. And making sure everyone can afford to live and is treated well as a worker. All of these things are shared priorities. And undergirding these principles and policies that we work on are some guiding frameworks. One of which you heard a lot about from my colleague last week, civic engagement. My colleague is Robert Lester. He spoke about civic engagement, to be clear. But early voting started on Friday. And Virginia Interfaith is trying to help Virginians understand that civic engagement is deeply important in election season, as every year is an election year. But civic engagement is equally important year-round. Our representatives are representing us. So meeting with your legislators before January or over the summer to talk about what matters to you is deeply important. Voting and getting out the vote is important, and then showing up at the General Assembly for Day for All People to actually say, hey, this bill is on your docket next week, vote for it, vote against it, here's why. All of that's a part of civic engagement. The other undergirding framework or lens is that of racial equity, because we know that Virginia is not innocent of America's original sin of racism, slavery, discrimination. And so we know that the systems and policies that have been created were created to uphold that system, that discrimination, that racism, that segregation. So when we try to do better, we have to look at every policy that we are promoting and make sure that it is building something different, building something more equitable, more inclusive, and more worthy of the people we strive to be. One more thing before I get down from this altar. I love working at Virginia Interfaith. I love it because interfaith contexts are so beautiful. Getting to know folks of different religious traditions is great fun. I love it because my coworkers are amazing. But I also love it because, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit, we are deeply nonpartisan, but I gotta admit, I also love it because working at the state level feels really good right now. Sometimes federal politics can be overwhelming, and you feel like you might be beating your head against a wall. And I don't think that's true. I think that advocacy is still deeply important, but it just takes a lot of inertia to move the needle. And sometimes local politics, though our voices make a big difference, I love groups like RISC, because of the Dillon rule and because local politics are so focused, they might feel like the impact is quite small. But at the state level, real, huge, measurable impacts for thousands and millions of people are actually possible. And so I love to see how, less than 200 votes can make the difference on who gets elected. I love to see how fewer than 10 constituents talking to an elected official can flip their vote on an issue. I love the power that we have at the state level, and that is where Virginia Interfaith focuses. That is why I'm so grateful for the partnership of First UU in this work, and I thank you once again for including us in your Share the Plate campaign. I'm around afterwards if you want to chat more about getting involved, but once again, appreciate y'all having us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. The ushers are passing the basket. Please look to the monitors for ways to give. The offering will be taken and most graciously received. Thank you, Mother Beautiful Song. Now let us enter into a time of prayer, reflection, and meditation. Spirit of life, God of many names and no names, we gather this morning in the shelter of community, bringing with us the burdens of the week, the ache of uncertainty, the fatigue of thriving, and the quiet hope that something sacred still stirs among us. In these times of upheaval, personal, political, and planetary, we pause to breathe. To remember that we're not alone, to feel the pulse of compassion that binds us together. May this hour be a balm for weary hearts. May it be a spark for justice, a cradle for grief, a celebration of resilience. We lift up those among us who are struggling with illness, with loss, with fear, with despair. May they feel held and loved. May they know they are seen. We lift up those who are working for healing in homes and hospitals, in classrooms and streets. May they be sustained by the purpose and nourished by grace. We lift up the earth, wounded and wondrous, calling us to live with reverence and care. And we lift up ourselves, imperfect, striving, beloved, as we seek to be people of courage and kindness, builders of peace, bearers of life. Let this gathering renew our spirits. Let it remind us of what matters. Let it send us forth with hearts open and hands ready. May this be so. Amen. Ashe. So let me begin this morning with a simple truth. We are made for belonging. From the moment we come into this world crying for nurture, to today's research for community in schools, workplace, neighborhoods, and faith community, we are wired to belong. You see, we're not built for isolation. Deep in the marrows of our bones, we long to be seen, known, and cherished. But here's the tension, church. Belonging always comes with a price. Yes, there's beauty in belonging. Yes, there's strength in being bound together. But there's also a cost. Sometimes belongings require compromise, sometimes require courage, and sometimes, let me tell you, belonging requires us to face the danger of being consumed, silenced, or even weaponized by the very communities we love. So this morning, we're going to wrestle with this truth. Belonging isn't free. Amen? Now, before we can count the cost, we first have to name the gift. Belonging is more than just fitting in. Belonging is more than being present in a space. Belonging is being received without condition. And psychologists will tell you belonging is as critical to human life as food and water. Without belonging, the soul starves. Loneliness cut as deep as hunger pains. Isolation weighs heavier than any stones. Belonging says, you don't have to earn your place at the table. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. You don't have to silence your story. You are welcome with your scars, your brilliance, your questions, and your conviction. And let me tell you something, belonging is sacred work. That's why our Unitarian Universalist faith center and covenant, not creed. Not believe this, or you can stay, but walk with us in love and justice. And there's room for you here. But here's the challenge. Sometimes what we settle for is not belonging, but fitting in. And fitting in, beloved, is counterfeit community. Fitting in said, we'll let you stay as long as you trim this part of yourself, as long as you keep your opinion quiet, as long as you wear the right mask. That ain't belonging, that's a transaction. So if it's so easy to counterfeit, why do we still reach for it? Because the need is written in our bones. To belong is to be alive. Science tells us that what our souls already know, loneliness kills. Spirits tells us what our ancestors already knew. You cannot live this life by yourself. The African proverb says, I am because we are, and we are because I am. Ubuntu, the South African way of naming shared humanity, reminds us that the self does not exist in isolation. And Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. He spoke those words because he knew our very survival depends on belonging to each other. And that the truth isn't just an idea, it lives out in stories, in the way we carry one forward. So to help us carry the story forward, next Sunday, my colleague, the Reverend Dr. Kiama Wachman, will lead a presentation on Black women ministries and Unitarian Universalists, honoring Black women who made a lasting impact in Unitarian Universalism and right here at First UU. And one of the first names that comes to mind is Alice Jackson Stewart. In 1935, as a young Black woman in Virginia, Alice dared to apply to the University of Virginia. She was denied admission, not for lack of merit, not for lack of mind, but because of the color of her skin. Can you believe that? The door of belonging that should have opened with a turn of a handle was bolted and barred. But hear me, Alice didn't let her rejection write her story. She pressed forward with grace and grit. She continued her education elsewhere in Columbia. She taught, she organized, she raised her voice in the civic lights of the city. And when the world said, you do not belong, she answered by finding and building community where she did. And one of those communities was right here at First Unitarian Universalist. In the age of segregation, when so many of our sanctuary colluded with exclusion, this church became a circle where Alice and her family could stand, sing, and serve and be seen. That is what liberating belonging looks like. Do you see it? Belonging grounds us. Belonging says you're not alone. Belonging says you are a part of something bigger than yourself. Belonging whispers, you matter. And some of you came through those doors today longing to hear exactly that. After a hard week, after carrying invisible burdens, after feeling that the world does not notice you, you needed to come to a place to be reminded that you belong. That's the gift of a congregation. That's the promise of covenant. That's why we light the chalice every week, not just for tradition, not just for ritual, but to remind us that there's a circle wide enough to hold us all. So belonging then is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. And yet, lifeline can even tangle. You see, the cost of belonging rarely comes at once. It comes by drips, by drips, by drips, by compromise, by compromise. And you know how it starts. One of your friends makes a joke that cuts against your values. And you laugh along so you don't shine out. Someone asks your opinion, and instead of speaking your truth, you nod and keep quiet. Someone sets the standards of what success looks like. You dress yourself in clothes that don't fit your spirit just to pass inspection. At first, it feels small, but over time, the little costs piled up. And suddenly you look in the mirror and realize that you sold off too much of yourself just to buy a seat at the table. Alice Jackson Stewart knew something about this in her day, and some counseled her and said, keep your head down, take what the system gives. But she refused to pay the price of silence. She insisted on her dignity, and in doing so, she helped pry open the doors that others years later will walk through. Her courage said, I will not surrender my soul for a counterfeit seat. I will find or make a circle where I can stand whole. And if that's true in the public square, it's also true in our private lives. The smaller bargains we make with our conscience can be the biggest change. So, beloved, what happens if we keep paying the price? The interest come due on our souls, and when the bills keep coming, it just doesn't touch the surface of our lives. It digs deeper and deeper. It shapes our choices, our voices, and even our very sense of self. And that's when conformity slipped in. Quiet at first, but steady. It starts to eat away at our souls. You see, conformity not only eats away at our souls, but it silences the voices of conscience. It trains us to be spectators instead of participants in our own lives. Conformity said, don't rock the boat. But beloveds, if the boat is headed towards injustice, silence makes us complicit. Conformity said, don't be different, but difference is the birthplace of innovation, beauty, and justice. Conformity says, shrink yourself so others can feel comfortable. But the Spirit never called you to be less. The Spirit called you to be whole. Now think about this. During Jim Crow times, how many pulpits stayed silent about segregation just because speaking truth risks belonging to respectable circles? Think about our own UU history. How many times we failed to stand with black and brown communities or immigrant because the cost of breaking conformity fell too high. Church, the consequences of conformity are not only personal, they are collective. So the moral question before us this morning is not whether we belong, but what kind of people we will become as we do. Because belonging mishandled can turn from medicine to poison. And history gives us too many examples. The Klan gathered under the false belonging of whiteness, burning crosses to terrorize their neighbors. Jim Crow segregation offered a counterfeit belonging to some at the expense of many. And even closer to our UU stories, we have known both failures and faithfulness. There were seasons when our congregation mirrored the exclusion of the wider culture, and yet there were moments when UU stood up and widened the circle. Some UU congregation became early advocates of public education in the South, insisting that learning belonged to all children, not the privileged. Others in the mid-20th century opened their doors to interracial fellowship when such action drew scorn from their neighbors. And when the UU Publishing House, Beacon Press, took the risky principal step to publish Voices of Conscience during turbulent times, it signaled the truth itself. Each of those choices proclaim if belonging demands another erasure, it is not true belonging. True belonging frees rather than binds, includes rather than excludes, heals rather than hard. And even today, extremist groups online recruit the lonely, the isolated, the disaffected, offering the counterfeit belonging of hate. And we saw it when a mob convinced their identity as real American, gave license and tried to overturn democracy itself. That is belonging turned toxic. So we must be vigilant, and we must ask always, what kind of belonging is this? Does it set people free, or does it bind them in chains? Does it create love, or does it spread fear? And when we see signs of a counterfeit community, we must choose covenant over crowd and conscience over comfort, which brings us to the heart of the change. Sometimes acceptance calls honesty. Sometimes it calls integrity. And sometimes it calls the fullness of who we are. But here's the good news. True acceptance doesn't demand that price. True acceptance means bring your whole self, the messy, the broken, the beautiful, the complicated, and you still belong. This is what this faith teaches us, and this is what covenant promises us. That is the radical welcome of Unitarian Universalism. And let me add this, belonging that liberates is never passive, it's chosen and practiced. So Alice Jackson Stewart didn't simply stumble into a circle. She helped create it. She showed up. She served. She witnessed with her life that a different Virginia and a different church were possible. And her membership here at First UU was not just a footnote of pride, it was a charge. It calls us to keep building a sanctuary where doors once barred become doors held open. So is it possible to belong without betraying yourself? I believe it is, and that is the worth of faith. It does require courage to bring your full story into the circle, even when others don't understand it yet. It requires confidence to say, we don't have to be the same to walk together. We bind ourselves not in uniformity, but into love. It requires discernment to know not every circle is worthy of you, not every table deserves your presence. If belonging means constant betrayal of your values, then that's not your home, and sometimes the holiest act is walking away. And it requires imagination to build community where differences is not erased but celebrated, where justice is not postponed but practiced, where each of us can say, I am fully myself, and I am fully at home. And our UU tradition gives us a map for that holy imagination. When the early Universalists proclaimed a love wide enough for every soul, they laid the groundwork for a theology of radical belonging. When Unitarians defended conscience and reason, they created a space for seekers to bring questions as part of their belonging. When congregations organized for labor rights and fair housing in the 20th century, they practiced a covenant stronger than conformity. When we lift up Black Lives Matter in our sanctuaries and on our streets, we reaffirm that belonging without justice is only sentimentality. And right here in Richmond, Alice Jackson Stewart present knits all together. Her witness reminds us that belonging embodied in a place and a people. Not merely words on a website, but a welcome at the door. Not simply names on a roll, but neighbors at the table. Not just a history we admire, but a future we're willing to pay with our courage, our resources, and our public voice. This is how we become the people who hold the truth and tenderness, both conviction and compassion. But let's be honest about the ongoing costs, even in a healthy community. To belong is to surrender some autonomy. You can't always have it your way. You compromise. You adjust. You show up when you rather stay home. You sing hymns that aren't your favorite. You vote on budgets that make you stretch. You learn to say we instead of me. And think about any meaningful team. You'll change a little bit of just me for a whole lot of better us. And that too is a price. But when we are grounded in dignity and justice, the return of the investment is solidarity. Belonging teaches humility, and belonging teaches us that our freedom is bound together. And because of this, we must practice curiosity across our differences. Don't assume you already know the hearts of those in another circle. Don't reduce whole community into caricatures. Because the interfaith table teaches us Jews, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheists sit together and discover none of us holds the whole truth. And belonging across differences requires listening more than speaking, honoring mystery, and resisting the urge to assume. And this is how we grow wider without growing thinner. So let me bring this close to home. The cost of belonging is real. But hear me, the highest cost is not rejection from others. The highest cost is rejecting yourself. The highest cost is living so long in disguise, you forget your true face. The highest cost is keeping silent until your voice withers. The highest cost is trading your uniqueness for counterfeit acceptance. But there's another way, to belong without losing yourself, to join circles where covenants is stronger than conformity, to build community where every child, every seeker, every elder, every doubter, every dreamer can say, this is my home. I belong here. And I didn't have to leave myself at the door to stay. And let the last word belong to our beloved Alice Jackson Stewart, not through a quotation, but through a testimony of her life. When the world refused her at one door, she found and made another. When the sign read closed, she carried the key of courage. When belonging was denied, she joined with people who believe that every human being bears an irreducible dignity, and together they made a place where dignity could breathe. That is the price and the prize of belonging. May this be so. Amen.
I long to shape my foundation of stone, forging inner peace until I have grown. Upon it I will craft a dwelling to share, by welcoming friends to confide in with care.
I will help you frame the house to be sturdier yet, laying bricks of love and hope in duet. We build it all on solid ground, amid the plains where comfort abounds.
Delighted and Renewed by Rebecca Savage. As we come to the end of service, may you depart from our time together, buoyed by the spirit of life, delighted by the warmth of our gathering, and renewed in soul and mind as we extinguish the flame of our chalice. May its lingering spark be carried in your heart until we are here together again.
And please rise the body of spirit as I give the benediction. So go forth from this place, knowing that you are worthy of belonging. You are worthy of love without condition. And may we, as a people of faith, keep building circles wide enough to hold every soul, strong enough to hold every truth, deep enough to hold every story. And let us sing our closing hymn, The Fire of Commitment.
Thank you.
Yeah, you want a minute? Go for it. We're by the sections. Yep. Good, man. How are you? Well, that's where Jamie comes from. That's my little yeah. And the bonus is if anybody Googles me, they'll get my granddad.